We could talk about all the things the world wants to talk about, your son and everything else, but I want to talk to you about the answer is not going to come from Washington.
Absolutely not.
Where is it going to come from?
It's going to come from America, from we the people. And as a matter of fact, we need for we the people to be awakened to what's happening in America. You know, in your previous segment, you were talking about imagining America. And I'll tell you what, it almost seemed like I was listening to what was happening in Cuba during Castro. The very same thing, this, you know, the ministry of misinformation that you have in all the communist countries. Well, did you know, Glenn, we have a ministry of misinformation in this country? Mm-hmm. It's called the liberal media.
Yeah.
And they just tell us what they want us to hear. They are rewriting history.
Yeah, you see it. I said when I was at Fox, when the Tea Parties never made it into the year in review in Time magazine in pictures, for that first year when we went to Washington twice, huge political movement, in the year in pictures, it wasn't even recorded. And I thought, and I said it on the air, they are rewriting history in real time right now.
Absolutely, because they have an agenda. And unfortunately, the agenda is an evil agenda. It's an agenda for destroying what this country is all about.
Okay, so you and I talked about something, because you and I have a great, I think, passion and frustration the same way. Our country was founded through the pulpits, and our pulpits are absolutely silent.
Absolutely. You know, if we look at our history, most people do not know that every one of those 27 grievances in the Declaration of Independence against King George were preached from the pulpits of America before they were written on the Declaration. Mm-hmm. It was preachers that were the forerunners of the revolution.
They were the ones who said, your rights come from God.
Absolutely. And this is why, you know, I remember in 2 different occasions listening to our president quote that sentence on the Declaration, and he says, for we have been endowed with certain unalienable rights. And he skips those 3 words, by our Creator, because socialism, Marxism, requires that government become your God. So they must destroy the concept of God. But you know, Glenn, if those rights come from government, then they are not unalienable rights.
Right.
The only thing that makes them unalienable is if they come from God.
Okay. So you have gone around and you're speaking to different churches and pastors and everything else. And you are, what is your message, Rafael?
Well, my message is that the pulpit is responsible, like Charles Finley said it very clearly. You know, he was one of the leaders in a Second Great Awakening. If evil prevails in the halls of Congress, the pulpit is responsible for it. If we have moral decay in our society, the pulpit is responsible for it. You know, as shepherds, we have a greater responsibility to be leaders, not to be following.
So can I ask you, because Hutch, we just premiered a show last night called Hutch, and it's Ken Hutcherson. He's a brilliant man, and he's a pastor. And I said, you know, you pastors are going to be in real trouble. And he wrote to me and he said, what makes you think you're not a pastor? And I've really started thinking about that, and I've been talking to David Barton about it. It's time to grow new pastors. If these guys won't do it, we need to raise up a whole new generation. And so people can't look at, well, my pastor's not saying this. Then you become the pastor.
That's right. That's right. We all have a responsibility. If we remain silent, silent is assent. We are just acquiescing to whatever the lines of this liberal media are telling us. And there is a great passivity in this country. It is actually a complacency that is killing our generation. And we need to become so aware that this country is in real trouble. But you know, Glenn, I am not discouraged.
Okay, hang on.